For thousands of years, people have spent their lives creating, researching, and exploding fireworks. They've managed to master the art of pyrotechnics to create a perfect balance of sound and light by harnessing the fiery power of gunpowder. But how does a small amount of explosive in a tube burst over 90 meters in the air in a multicolored shower with a big bang and a whistle? We'll be exploring the world of fireworks from the amazing spectacles in the year 2000, including the closing ceremony of the Sydney Olympics, to the specialist fireworks of Malta and Japan. We'll also learn about the fun of fireworks, the art of fireworks, the science of fireworks. New technology is pushing pyrotechnics into the 21st century. In the future, fireworks could create music, and fireworks might even be fired from the depths of space, allowing half the Earth to watch the same display at once. The appeal of fireworks is primal. We're all fascinated by fire. We love the element of danger associated with fire and fireworks. The people of Malta have taken this love of fireworks to an extreme. The Maltese are famous for their huge fireworks, practically the height of a man and weighing nearly 90 kilograms. Each firework contains different kinds of explosive mixtures. They're not only spectacular, they're considered too unsafe to be sold to any other country in the world. For the festival celebrating the Virgin Mary, the Maltese believe there is no better way to pay tribute to her than with fireworks. On this tiny island, home to fewer than 400,000 people, there are 37 firework factories and 600 licensed pyrotechnicians. The Maltese compete with each other for the honor of launching fireworks to celebrate their saints. All summer long, there are 5 firework displays every week. This is one of the bigger ones. After the first display of fireworks, the villagers crowd into the tiny square to offer their blessings to the Virgin. All fireworks, large and small, use one main ingredient. Dr. Roger Schneider, a pyrotechnical consultant to the US Army, is an expert in fireworks.
The workhorse of the fireworks industry, or the main ingredient used throughout the industry, is black powder. Black powder is an intimate mixture of 3 elements. In this case, potassium nitrate, a white crystalline solid, sulfur, and charcoal. First of all, taking the charcoal and transferring it into the sieve. Sulfur to follow. The potassium nitrate tends to absorb moisture, and it's somewhat lumpy. I'm going to go ahead and grind the potassium nitrate into a smaller particle size. Getting rid of just the last few of these granules, particularly of the potassium nitrate. I'm just about ready.
When these materials are combined and lit, the mixture becomes explosive. It's only a small bang. To create a bigger bang, you need to use this commercial black powder. It's specially ground by machines, so the particles are smaller and closer together, helping it explode with greater force.
Ignition.
When black powder is tightly packed, as it is inside a firework, it's even more powerful. One way to show the explosive force of black powder is by loading it into a pistol.
The flintlock pistol is loaded by introducing black powder in a granulated form. It has been pre-measured, and I'm going to pour it into the muzzle of the pistol. The black powder will be rammed home with a ramrod and seated against the black powder at the base of the barrel.
Gunpowder is the basic ingredient behind the four main types of firework. Rockets, Roman candles, shells, and fountains. Firework displays use all four types, and then add any other variation our imaginations can dream up. The first stage for any firework is to actually get it off the ground. Gunpowder is packed inside a cardboard tube. The firework is lit using a long fuse, which ignites the gunpowder. The hot mixture first turns into liquid, and then into a gas. This speeds up the reaction and releases even more energy. The gas expands rapidly, bursting out of the bottom of the tube and pushing the rocket into the sky. The measure of any good firework is how high it goes. In this unique footage filmed from a camera attached to a rocket, we see just how high this firework can go. A special camera was also attached to a rocket fired in the middle of a night display. This rocket soared over 1,000 meters into the air. Most fireworks are designed to be launched into the sky so that we can see them. More importantly, the higher the firework travels, the safer it is for the people watching down below. It takes great skill to make rockets travel to the right height. It depends on the firework's diameter, how much gunpowder has been packed inside, the weight of the gunpowder, and even the size of the powder grains. For instance, a firework that is 30 centimeters in diameter requires over 1,000 grams of gunpowder to make it rocket into the sky to a height of 300 meters in just 7 seconds. In the last 200 years, fireworks have improved enormously. Thanks to modern-day chemistry, we can achieve virtually any color. Different chemicals create different colors. Strontium chloride is bright red when it burns. Barium chloride is green, and sodium creates a yellow flame. But a good blue color is hard to make. Most blues come from copper salts, but because they burn at a low temperature and fireworks burn at 1,000 degrees, the blue color is washed out. The chemicals are added to gunpowder, in this case strontium, to produce red, and it's mixed with sulfur and potassium nitrate. This powder will then be made into pellets called stars. The stars are packed into the fireworks. When they explode, each star creates a brilliant burst of light. This is what each individual star looks like when it burns. Different colored metals produce different colored stars. Other chemicals can be added to create a glitter effect. Aluminium makes silver stars that flash like disco lights. It may not look like it, but this is a single firework. Each burst of light is made up of complex components packed inside. This is how they all fit together. The firework is put inside this large metal tube. Beneath the firework is gunpowder, which when lit will hurl the firework into the air. The heat from the lifting charge also lights another fuse made of compressed gunpowder, which burns at the rate of 1 second per centimetre of fuse. That fuse then sets off more gunpowder, the bursting charge. This splits the firework apart, scattering the package of stars and igniting them. Then a second fuse lights another charge and scatters the next package of coloured stars. As any dog will tell you, fireworks are loud. As well as containing stars, many fireworks are full of noise-producing chemicals. Roger Schneider explains how some of them work.
Whizzers and hummers come in a variety of shapes and sizes. I have an example of 4 here. They all function the same way. We have a fuse that communicates fire to the interior of the tube, which burns to produce gas. That gas is then ejected through the fuse hole, producing thrust. That causes the tube then to rotate very, very quickly. That jet is periodically pointed towards the direction of the observer. And we perceive that then as sound. And that sound that is produced is a high-frequency scream that we associate then with the burning of these whizzers.
But fireworks can even sound vaguely musical.
What we have here on the demonstration table is a consumer firework device known as the Sound of Music. It consists of 8 tubes, each of which is charged with a whistle composition.
When these mixtures burn, they create a sound wave within the tube. The pitch of that sound depends on several factors, including the diameter and the length of the tube.
The larger diameter and the longer tube will produce, in fact, the lowest pitch or frequency.
Fireworks were developed in the Far East. The Japanese have been making unique fireworks for thousands of years. Dr. Takeo Shimizu has been a world authority on fireworks for over half a century.
日本の花火はですね、一つずつの個々の花火をですね、上げては一発ずつ楽しんでいくと。
Japanese fireworks were designed traditionally so that people could enjoy viewing each fireworks individually, whereas European fireworks are designed to be enjoyed as a mass of fireworks. However, the difference between both sides has become less over time.
これがだんだん最近では
The differences between East and West are a result of how fireworks were traditionally made. This is the Kanto Kako factory on the outskirts of Tokyo. The workers begin making stars by coating a grain of rice in gunpowder. Another layer of gunpowder mix is added so that each star becomes slightly thicker. Each successive layer is a different coloured chemical. It's a laborious process, but it means that every single star will light the sky with many different colours. The The stars are then carefully packed into the outer casing of the firework. Rice husks, coated with gunpowder, are loaded into the middle. This is the bursting charge, which will shatter the shell in midair. Japanese fireworks are virtually always spherical, like this one. This makes them explode symmetrically, creating flower-like shapes in the air. Finally, the shell is wrapped in layers of adhesive paper, which makes the shell strong enough to withstand the lifting charge. Then they are left to dry in the sun. Using this technique, fireworks can create specific patterns. The stars in each shell are laid out in the pattern they will eventually form in the air. In this case, it's a 5-pointed star. These fireworks form the shape of smiling faces, hearts, and flowers. Here in Shuida, a town on the outskirts of Tokyo, a crowd of 600,000 people has gathered to watch the annual fireworks show. Over 60 different companies compete to show Japan their finest fireworks in an extraordinary display. Most of these fireworks were handmade, just as they always were. In the past, fireworks were also fired by hand. But in today's entertainment age, we expect spectacular displays, choreographed to music, and that's difficult to achieve if the pyrotechnicians have to light the fireworks so that they explode in time with the music. Sam Woodward created the pyrotechnical effects for the film Gladiator. Originally a choir boy, Sam combines his musical ability with computer skills to create software that choreographs firework displays to music highly accurately. Sam's software gives every millisecond of music a reference number based on time. It's called timecode.
When you're choreographing, you're always looking at the emotion of the music, the speed, the flow, so you can decide the correct type of fireworks that would be most appropriate for that. And then obviously the site at which you're firing is also in mind as to what will create the most dramatic picture in the sky. We're hearing the music. Here it is. And we're saying these are great points for fireworks to erupt. So having listened to the music dozens of times and got a real sense of where it's flowing, we can then start to add the firework cues by clicking with the mouse. So here comes our... And every time we click there, we're adding an event time when we want fireworks to happen. Now, we've programmed about 1,500 different types of fireworks that are being classified and authorised for us to import into the computer. So now we can go to one of these events that we've created and link in a firework which we're selecting from the database. And that will actually now be tied into that point in the show.
Using this technique, Sam can create a fireworks show entirely synchronized to music. And this is a firework display synchronized to that same music. At Alton Towers, the annual Halloween show has begun. Wally Glenn is a performance artist based in Seattle. He calls himself Pyro Boy, and he choreographs his firework displays with the utmost of care. He doesn't just want to synchronize his fireworks with music, he wants to be alive at the end of the performance. The fireworks are attached to his own body. Wally is getting ready for tonight's performance of Pyro Boy. He and his assistant are gluing fireworks to his helmet. He'll be wearing 64 fireworks, containing enough explosives to cause serious risk to life and limb. So why does he do it?
I was working with some people we were doing fire performances, and I wanted to try something a little bit different than anybody else was doing, so it would make it unique to myself. And we came with the idea of, hey, why don't we try putting fireworks on top of a helmet and see how that works? Nobody else wanted to try it because they're afraid, it might blow their head off or something. And so I realized, I've got health insurance and it's pretty good. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And so we tried it and it looked great and we had a lot of fun doing it. So then we've been building since then, making it a little more dramatic and elaborate every time.
Safety is of paramount importance, and Wally wears special clothes to protect himself.
We start off with a Nomex jumpsuit, which is a fire-resistant material which burns at about 700 degrees Fahrenheit, and that protects me from any sparks that burn through. And on top of that, we'll wear a pair of reflective Kevlar, aluminized Kevlar pants, which will help reflect a lot of the heat around my legs, because there's going to be things dancing around there. And then we wear multiple layers of treated cotton above that to help prevent anything from burning through.
Wally is finally ready. His helpers, the Pyro Vixens, start his unique show.
First of all, there's this big adrenaline rush because you're nervous and you're hoping everything goes well. And the last thing you see before anything gets ignited is this big, huge flame coming right in front of your face as Vixens light the suit. Then the fireworks start going off, and there's this deafening roar when the firecrackers are going off, and you see the fire, the hair going in front of your face. And occasionally you see people in the background, but there's like smoke and sparks, and everything seems to slow down. It's really amazing.
Some people climb mountains for fun. Wally likes to strap fireworks to his body. But Pyro Boy only achieves this amazing result without injuring himself by paying rigorous attention to safety. This is definitely not something you should try at home. The deadly power of fireworks should never be underestimated. In May 2000, a fireworks factory on the outskirts of Amsterdam exploded. 100 tons of explosives ignited. 17 people were killed, including 4 firemen. Over 900 people were injured, and 1,000 people lost their homes. Most firework companies have strict regulations about how to store and handle fireworks. Each storage building is set apart from the others. For instance, a container filled with 45,000 kilograms of explosives must be 60 meters away from any other building if it has a barricade around it, and 120 meters if it doesn't. The buildings themselves have a steel inner core and steel doors, and they must be resistant to fire, theft, bullets, and the weather. All the workers must wear cotton to reduce the risk of generating sparks. Anti-static cables and lightning rods transmit static electricity away. Workshops are kept scrupulously clean to eliminate the risk of sparks igniting any gunpowder left lying around. And normally, only one person at a time is allowed to work with loose powder. Safety is also an important consideration at firework displays. The closing ceremony at the Sydney Olympics 2000 was to be a spectacular fireworks show, the biggest the world had ever seen. It was also potentially one of the most dangerous. 17,000 shells containing 2.5 tons of gunpowder were to be fired. It was certainly a fantastic location, but launching a fireworks display over a 16-kilometer region to an audience of 1.5 million people took the kind of strategic planning normally reserved for a war. It was one of the greatest technical challenges Sydney had ever faced. Robert Foti is the youngest son in the family that was responsible for coordinating the show.
When we were initially asked to put in some creative ideas for this show, we were acutely aware that it's not just a national event for us, for Australia, but it's very much an international event. So we put forward the idea of bringing out a pyrotechnic company from each continent representing each of the Olympic rings. And the idea was taken with great enthusiasm, and from there we've moved towards achieving our aim in a pretty short period of time.
Robert's older brother, Fortunato, was the artistic director.
The closing night fireworks start at the stadium. From there it goes along the river known as the River of Lightning. And that's 24 positions all the way along the river up to the harbour bridge. After the River of Lightning finishes, the bridge explodes for 1.5 minutes. From there, there's 4 main barges, one at Cockatoo Island, one up here between Goat Island and the bridge. The other 2 on this side is near Fort Denison, between the 2 islands there.
At the end of the show, 2 huge 60-centimetre shells were to be launched.
It's one of those things, it's basically all in the head. We don't get a dress rehearsal, so we're not going to know what it looks like until the night. So I suppose it's like painting a picture. Until you've actually painted it, you don't know what it's going to look like, and you're hoping it's going to turn out well.
The River of Lightning would be a huge technological coup. On the eve of the Millennium celebrations in London, they also tried to create a River of Fire. Unfortunately, it didn't appear to work. What the Fotis wanted to create was the longest River of Fire ever, 8,000 firework effects running for almost 16 kilometres. Ignatius Jones, the artistic director for the whole fireworks ceremony, rose to the challenge.
It was quite a brave thing to do in the wake of the infamous River of Fire in London. But we wanted to connect the Homebush Arena with the central fireworks show in the harbour, and we couldn't think of a better way to do it than actually setting up 25 different firing spots all the way down the Parramatta River and Inner Harbour, and then firing a 30-second barrage of lightning shells from each one in consecutive 5-second intervals, so that we created what looked like a giant fuse. I mean, it was a fuse you could only see from the moon, basically, but a giant fuse that snaked along the river and finally got to the bridge.
After the River of Lightning reached the bridge, an F-111 fighter-bomber plane was to symbolically transport the Olympic flame from the stadium to the harbour by dumping and burning its fuel. 24 pyrotechnicians were on standby to set off the fireworks for the River of Lightning. Each pyrotechnician had a switch which would light their firework electrically.
Got a red light, got a green light here, and just press the button like that.
The day before the show, Fortunato Foti scheduled a rehearsal. Because of the huge distances involved, the show was only partly computer-controlled. The cues loaded in the central computer were sent out by radio to each one of these firework technicians. But they needed to fire the River of Lightning manually. Hopefully it'll work out better on the big night. To achieve this amount of pyrotechnical wizardry takes a lot of planning and preparation. All 4 barges belonging to the international companies were loaded with fireworks in preparation for the big day. This is White Bay, a working dock. If anything were to go wrong, the amount of gunpowder in these fireworks could easily sink one of these barges.
I just want to recap just on some of the basic safety guidelines that we go by. No alcohol or other drugs permitted on site. Obviously no smoking on the setup site. Everyone knows where the smoking sites are, and when you're out there on the River of Lightning sites, obviously no smoking near the fireworks. Mobile phones turned off within a 10-metre radius of the fireworks. And
because mobile phones use electrical signals and the whole display was triggered by a combination of electrical signals and radio, a cell phone ringing at the wrong time could cause a spectacular disaster.
What we aim to do is reduce the potential for danger so that things don't go wrong, and that's why we follow the protocols and procedures in our setup to reduce the chance of anything like that happening. So, sort of touch wood, nothing will go wrong. But I'd be lying if I said that's going to be 100% thing. But all I can say is that we've done everything humanly possible to ensure that nothing does go wrong.
The head of the South African team, Nick Mitri, would be just a few metres away from exploding fireworks. He would be inside this steel shipping container when he launches the display.
We're shooting up to 12-inch display shells, so it's going to be quite an adrenaline rush.
You're not worried about being so close to the fireworks?
No, that's the way we like it. Often by law, we have to be further away, but because there's no room to move, we have to set up quite close, and it's going to be good fun, I think.
You're the only one that's giving him instructions of what to do.
The finale of the show would be 2 huge 60-centimetre shells. One was built by Sam Foti. The other, by Masaki Abe, was to be launched from this Japanese barge. Since Masaki doesn't speak any English and the Fotis can't speak Japanese, the situation was a little tense. Each 60-centimetre shell needs 4.5 kilograms of gunpowder to propel it out of its launching tube. It'll explode 300 metres in the air and spread out for well over 300 metres as well. But if this shell were to explode halfway down the tube, it would shatter the steel into shrapnel. No one on the barge would survive.
Okay.
leave enough wire to take it. Okay.
Good man.
Hours before the show was about to begin, the barges loaded with explosives were towed down the river to the harbour in preparation for the ceremony. And as it got closer to showtime, tension mounted.
Anything could go wrong. And it usually does, but people don't notice. Then again, the shows, especially the ones on Sydney Harbour, and it's such a great setting for it, and it works so well here. It's such a wonderful moment at the end of it that it makes it all worth it. And so, yes, I am looking forward to it. With anxiety, but yeah, I am looking forward to it.
I love making these shows. I think it's an achievement for me, and I hope everything will turn out on the night. And when this show is fine, just put your head up, and look at the sky, look at the boss upstairs, and look at God, and say, I hope it will explode, and it's okay.
At 10:30 p.m. on Sunday the 1st of October 2000, the closing ceremony for the Sydney Olympics began. The River of Lightning was ignited. When it reached the harbour, the F-111 flew over the stadium. The F-111 roared overhead, and it was time for the fireworks to begin. The fireworks at Sydney were seen on television by 3.7 billion people in 220 countries. Five international companies, representing each one of the Olympic rings, constructed and launched the fireworks for Sydney. Fireworks launched from the harbour bridge rose 100 metres into the air and were controlled by 4 computer systems. Just 0.9 kilograms of gunpowder is enough to launch a car 15 metres into the air. This show used over 2,000 kilograms of gunpowder. The closing ceremony for the Sydney Olympics was a masterful display of pyrotechnic skill and superb choreography. But what kind of fireworks might we see in the future? Japanese firework creator Dr. Takeo Shimizu has some ideas.
日本の花火、それから花火界全体ですけれども、
In the case of Japanese fireworks and also in other parts of the world, people are seeking to improve the timing and accuracy of explosion process. Extensive studies still needed to improve the accuracy, This is an area of research I'm studying at the moment. If it is possible to explode certain color, such as blue for a second or two, in a perfect timing, then music could be made by a series of explosions. With rhythm, we could make music using sound of fireworks. This is what I'm dreaming of making.
By creating extremely accurate explosions, Dr. Shimizu hopes to make music out of the rhythm of the exploding fireworks. Dr. Roger Schneider also dreams about rockets.
Personally, I like skyrockets, and I wish we had more skyrockets used in public displays of fireworks. Fortunately, they are not. And one of the biggest reasons for this is that rockets fly somewhat unpredictably.
Firework experts hope rockets might someday be brought back into public displays by having their own guidance systems, on-board computer chips.
Computer chips might be able to be used in fireworks, and it is then where we will create new things, maybe writing in the sky, and there's something exciting, really exciting that can happen with fireworks, and we will make it happen somehow.
There are other ideas too.
I think you'll see more and more amazing effects. One of the latest trends which I've seen, which is really great, is they've been able to make fireworks when they explode in the air, they make faces like a smiley face. I think you'll see a lot more of that in the future, which is pretty incredible.
The fireworks that we're hoping to make within the future is to be able to spell someone's name up in the sky. I don't think it's ever been done. I haven't seen it done. So we'll have to plan for that.
But could the ultimate goal in fireworks be this one? A firework display in outer space. Pyrotechnics expert Dr. Schneider has begun experiments to try to realize his dream of outer space firework displays. He's burning small amounts of pyrotechnic materials in a vacuum to see how they would react in space. So far, the results have been disappointing. Most fireworks need oxygen to ignite, otherwise they simply melt. However, he's not deterred.
The problems are very, very, at this point, seemingly insurmountable. We would need to do some experiments, certainly, to see how pyrotechnics behave, first of all, in rarefied atmosphere, perhaps launching aerial display shells off the top of Mount Everest, 27,000 plus feet, and see how they perform at altitudes as close as that is to Earth before looking into much, much higher altitudes.
A firework display at such a high altitude would look as if we'd made our own Aurora Borealis. If Dr. Schneider finally works out how to ignite fireworks in space, they could be transported by rocket. In the absence of gravity, a single firework could be the size of a house. This super firework would take an hour to explode and could be viewed by an entire hemisphere. A firework display seen by half the world. Because audiences now expect bigger and better mass entertainment, fireworks are here to stay, on Earth as well as in space. In the future, Firework displays will be a blend of art and science. Technology from the 21st century will merge with a craft begun thousands of years ago and will create a whole new pyrotechnic phenomenon. The future for fireworks is burning bright.